Welcome to Techlearners. In today's lesson, we will talk about Java methods or functions. In the previous lecture, we had talked about Java classes and objects, and we understood that the class contains two important things, attributes and methods. So today we will discuss about methods in the Java. So method or a function is a sequence of some declarative or executable statements. As we know that Java is a strictly object-oriented programming language in which any action can take place through methods, and methods exist as a part of the class. So whatever, let's say we want to input some value, we want to perform some arithmetic operations, or we want to display something, these are all the actions, and these actions are all can only take place through methods. So methods are very important. And the second thing is, methods exist as a part of a class and they cope up with the complex problems and they make programming simple. So there are three major uses of the methods. Let's see what are these three methods. One, by using methods we cope up with complex problems. That means the complex problems can be simplified with the help of the methods. With the methods we can hide low level details, and the most important use of the method is we can reuse the code. For example, if you want to add two numbers again and again, then instead of writing the same code again and again, we can have a method of adding two numbers, and that method can only be used multiple times. So that will save line of coding, effort, time and processing, everything. So that is why methods are very important and useful in terms of programming. Let's talk about three important things with the methods in terms of programming. One, method declaration. Function declaration can also be termed as prototyping or signature of the method. Second, function definition, that is method definition, which defines that what is the purpose of the method, or defining the action statements or executable statements that are inside the methods. And the third, how we can use that function, or basically how we can call that function, how we can call the definition of the function. So we'll see all these things into a Java program in this lecture. Let's continue first with the syntax of the function definition. So the syntax of the function definition consists of the first line, which is also known as a signature or prototyping, which starts with the access specifier. In place of access specifier we can use public, private, protected. So we'll have a separate video for these access specifiers. Then we use modifiers. In place of modifiers we can use native, static, synchronous. We also have a separate video for modifiers. Then we have a return type of the function. The functions are of two types, like whether the function returns something or it do not return something. So we need to mention a return type here. If the function is not returning anything, then we'll mention void here. Otherwise we'll return the type of the data function is returning. Next is name of the function. So function name can be anything following the naming convention. Then within these smaller brackets we have parameter list. So parameter list is a list that means what data we are passing to the function. We can pass multiple data of multiple types, different data types we can pass into the parameter list. So once this first line of the function ends, then we come to the body of the method. That means we need to mention the statements which are to be executed inside the method. So these are the method body or executable statements. These can be input statements. These can be any operations like logical operations, flow control, looping, arithmetic operations, printing statements, anything that is to be executed, right? So this is executable. So let's see an example like public static void main. We have used this very commonly. So here we see this is access specifier, this is modifier, this is return type, this is name of the function, and this is the parameter list where we are passing a string array. So if you are not aware about the array, you can watch the separate video based on the arrays. So the first line of the function is known as the signature of the function. Signature is very important whenever we'll talk about the method overloading, and we'll see the importance of the signature. So simply here the first line of the method definition is known as the signature. And in a method, you see the access specification, if you mention it or you do not mention it, it's not important. So either you can mention or you leave it. If you leave it, then by default access specification is applied to the method, that is default. So we will see about these later in the access specifier lecture. Modifier, so it's also not important. If you wish, you can mention a modifier or you can leave it, but this return type is necessary to mention, either void or some other type. Name of the function is necessary. The parameter list is necessary. This list can be empty or can contain 1, 2, 3 or more parameters. Now these are the curly brackets, indicates the opening and closing of the method, and inside the method we can have statements. For example, this is simple printing statements, hello Java methods, right? Let's see another example. In this example, I have eliminated the modifier. You can see I am not using any modifier in this method. This is public access specification, and I have changed the return type from void to integer. So this function was not returning anything, but this function is returning some integer value. So at the end of the method, we must have to mention this return statement with the return value. And remember, this return value must be compatible with the data type we are mentioning here. So if we are returning an integer value, then we'll have to mention int as the return data type. So next is this is the name of the function, and this is the parameter list. Here we are passing two parameters a and b, and both are integer type. We can have different types also. We can pass an integer, float, char, string, array, anything. So these can be passed in two ways also, with the help of a value or with the help of a reference. So we will talk about this passing parameters into a separate video. So now let's continue with the method. So inside the method body we have this executable statement. We are just printing the sum of two variables a and b, and we are returning the sum. Let's see another example. So this is public static int display. Here the parameter list is empty. I have used all the things. I have used access specifier, a modifier, a return type, name of the function, but I have not passed any parameter. So and remember, this function can return anything but has to be integer. So we are returning 1, and this is compatible with the return data type. And the first line of the method definition is known as the signature. So let's see the methods into a Java program. So let's talk about the method. So this is a simple Java program, Java method, where we have defined a method. In the last lecture we had talked about the classes and objects, and we discussed that a class contains two things, attributes and methods. So today we will talk about methods only. So this is a simple method which will sum the two values. So this is the access specifier, this is the return data type. As the function is not returning anything, we mention void as a return type, then name of the function, and then parameter list. So we are passing two parameters a and b here. So in this we are just having the executable statements. So let's focus on the three things What are these three things? The function declaration, prototyping, signature. So you can see the first line is the function signature. So this is how we can write the signature. Then function definition. So the complete how we can define the whole function. This is called as the function definition. But just writing the definition will not work, because we need to use this function also, or we need to call this function so that the function can be executed. So now let's see how we can call this function. So for that purpose, I have created a main function. I have kept it static so that this main function can be associated with the class, and we have this as a triggering function so that we can trigger the class and we can execute. So now just to call the function, we have two ways. One, either we make the function also static and then we call it into this. Let's see, if I call the function directly, let's say I have called function sum and I have passed two integer values, 2 and 3. So this was the requirement. According to the definition, we need to pass two integer values. So I have passed two integer values and I have just called. But just calling this, it gives an error. What is the error? Non-static method cannot be referenced from a static context. As we can see that main function is a static function, so the calling function sum has to be static also. So we can make this function static and then we can call this into the main function. Now let me compile and show you how this can be executed. So we can see that both the methods are available for execution. We can directly call the sum, and if we directly call the sum, so we need to pass the parameters 4 and 5, and then you can see that this is the output, sum is 9. Or we can call this with the help of the main method. So first main method will be called, then inside the main method that static method sum will be called. So we'll call the main method, then the sum is 5 as we have already passed 2 and 3 while calling the function. Let's go back and do something else. Let's say we do not want to create all the methods static. If we'll make all the methods static, then what will be the purpose of object creation and object orientation? So it's a bad idea to make all the methods static and then calling them separately. So let me remove this static method from the method. So this is how we used to create methods. Now how we can call this method? Just to call this method, first of all, we will create the object of the class. That is why object creation is important. So this is why we create the object. So we are going to create the object of the class. Let me create as J. So this is new, then Java method. So once I have created the object, with the help of this object and dot operator, I can call the function. So this is how I will call the function into the main method with the help of the object creation. So this is object orientation. Now let me compile this and execute. Now you can see we have a main method directly, so we'll execute the main method. Inside the main method, the object is created, and with the help of the object, the sum method is called. So this is the output, sum is 5. Let me create another method, or we can use the same method to find the sum of some more numbers. Let's say I want to sum 5 and 7. So I'll just j.sum 5 comma 7. I'll compile this, I'll close, and then I'll simply execute. So you can see sum is 5 and sum is 12. So let me tell you the importance of the method. So there were three importance of the methods. We have already talked about these three things. Let's talk about the importance of the methods to cope up with the complexity, so it makes simple programming. So as we have made the function sum, so it's easier for us to understand that this code contains the addition of two variables. So it will be easier for programmers to write and readers to understand. Low level details, that means we are hiding here. If you'll see, once I'm calling the function, I'm hiding that how this addition is done, how the printing is done. So we are not it's not matter, so we are hiding basically the low level details and we are just summing up two values. And the third is reuse the code. So you can see I have just reused this code inside the function twice here. So without writing the code again and again, I have simply reused the code. Now you can see that in this function I have a single statement, but imagine if the function contains 10 functions, then 10 statements, then all these 10 statements can be reused without rewriting them again and again. So this is the beauty of the methods into the Java programming. So this is how we can create the methods, we can use them, we can have the signature of the method, can define the method, and then how we can call these methods. In the next lecture we will discuss about the types of the method. So there are different types of the methods. We will learn to we'll understand all types of the methods. We will learn to program those methods, how we can define different methods, how we can call different type of methods. That's it for the lecture. I hope you have understood well. Subscribe the channel, like the video, and hit the notification bell to get the notification of all upcoming videos. Thank you so much.